2020.24.6.4 just recently came out. A lot of you guys already have this. Not a lot of things new in it, but there was a lot of comments that I found about people saying that the range has been updated to where on the display, rather than having the battery percentage, if you put the actual miles on there to tell you how much is left in the battery, that it's a lot more accurate now. And I've always wanted to use that. I thought it'd be kind of neat to know exactly how many miles I could go. It's a lot more, I don't know, real to me than just a percentage. It actually means something using distance. But I never used it before because it just never was accurate. Didn't really mean much. But if this really is good, it really does calculate this accurately now, I would be very excited. So recently, just the other day, I went to go record a drive where we're going to test this out. I was going up to the mountains, but because of COVID, I ended up not being able to do that hike today. It was just way too crowded, too many people. I didn't want to be up there. And so I cut out that part of the video, and the next day I went out most of the way up there for the drive, 20 miles, to see just how accurate this actually was. So we're going to pick up on that in just a minute. Also, in this video, we're going to give away the Quick Bandit front license plate mount. We did a video on this a couple weeks ago. You haven't checked it out, go check it out. Anyway, let's pick up on the video. Okay, correction, it is actually the next day. I didn't go on the trip that day. Something thwarted our plans. So here's what we're looking at in terms of the mileage heading up to our little hike. It is 253 miles is what it's saying right now. What I'm going to do is swipe over here, and we are going to reset this one. Okay, so we're at 253 miles. We're sitting at 0 miles right now. Let's see when I get to my destination, which is 20 miles from here, how accurate that actually is. It should be somewhere right around 233 miles. All right, so we're getting on the freeway right now. We just clicked into navigate on autopilot, and we're going to talk about the difference between that a little bit here. One of the next tutorials we're going to be doing is actually the difference between autopilot and navigate on autopilot. A lot of people keep requesting that one. I don't want to get too ahead of the tutorials. I'm trying to make them all in, following the next one, but we're going to be, so basically I'm going to drive this car on this challenge for the range about the way I would anyway. So driving through the city there, I wasn't using autopilot. I was just, accelerating like I normally would be. Now that I'm on the freeway, I'm going to go 5 over, which is the way I normally drive on the freeway. So it's going to be locked in, but autopilot's going to be doing it all. I'm not going to be doing any more or less driving than I would, because I want to just really see how accurate this is. But it should, I don't know what they really mean by it got more accurate, because when I looked at this before, it was just really hard to know how accurate it actually was. So this is really the best way I can see to do it. So we'll just keep track on it, and we'll just see at the very end of this trip just how accurate it is. Because I know that's something that a lot of people switch from. That percentage, what do I use? So hopefully this gives us some kind of a light as to where it stands now. So now one thing you guys should pay attention to is now that we're going to be going up this mountain pass, we were going through our watt hours per mile they're much lower. Watch how they go up as we're going up the hill, because that's one thing too that's going to be affected, and the car is supposed to factor all of that in, the road conditions, driving conditions, elevation, all of that when it's creating this. You can see it's gone up 5 already just since I said that. So these are things that you need to consider as well. That the car needs to be able to consider, and so that's one thing we'll be really looking for here. Now, once again, it's going to kick me out of navigate and autopilot here in just a second, and so it's going to get me over. Actually, I touched the wheel on accident, so I did it myself. Put it back in here. So I just got it set here. It's actually 55. This is completely wrong. The speed limit is not 50 here. So I'll be doing a little bit of manual control on the speed, but you can see here we're almost 100 over now where we were on the flat. So I'd be curious to see just how accurate this is all going to be, because this is supposed to factor this all in. See, that's one thing that was kind of interesting about how autopilot still deals with merges. Like, that was going to be really abrasive. I was on autopilot, and the semi, the lanes are merging like this, but my car wanted to go up beside the semi, and one of my very first videos I ever made was this exact section right here, where the same kind of thing happened, where it wanted to pass a truck on the side because it didn't know that the lanes were merging. I think that's because it was too close to the semi and it couldn't see the lines past the truck. And there's the dotted lines, straight lines in the middle of the road had gone away. So it was really confused. So I was hugging that right line. It was going to pass it. And I don't like it because other people think, what's this guy doing? Going to try to pass me on the right side? And it just kind of creates a dangerous situation. And I probably should have let it go to see just what exactly would have happened there. I kind of regret that I didn't actually. But that's one thing too, that just a little bit, when I think about the car being full self-drive capable, I couldn't imagine sitting here during that situation and not intervening. It's just really awkward. So just want to kind of point that out. I'd be curious, have you guys, when you've been doing merges, have you guys had any weird experiences with it, or does it handle it pretty well for the most part? I think for the most part it does handle it well, but situations like that make me a little bit nervous. Okay, real quick, let's do the license plate giveaway. Thank you everybody who's been watching the videos, waiting for this to come out. It's been 3 weeks since that came out. I'm behind by 2 weeks giving this away, so thank you for your patience. I've been so busy with work and business and everything. But the winner is Mike Pana, P-A-N-A, Mike P-A-N-A, name right here in the description or up on screen. Just hit me up in my email. I'll put the email down here. It goes just for the business, and we'll swap information and we'll get this out to you. Now let's get back to your video. So let's do this again here. We're getting on an on-ramp that's going to be going on to a 70 miles per hour freeway. We've got it set to 75 miles per hour. And we're gonna let it do this whole thing on its own. There's no cars coming up behind us, unfortunately, but we do have, or we are entering the freeway behind a semi, so we're going quite a bit slower than we normally would be going here. And my question is going to be just how well it actually handles all this. I bet it's gonna be fine, but like I said, watch, it won't turn on the blinker. That's something it still does not do yet. And you notice here now that the watt hours per mile is dropping as we're going downhill. It's just like using less gas going downhill versus up. It's very predictable, but again, the car has to factor in elevation when it estimates this. And I don't know what they did to make it better, but they say it's better. So now that we're slowing down here, the car should try and change lanes because we are going 11 under my max speed. So I'm assuming it's going to have me jump into the fast lane. I'm driving with it set on average for lane change, how often it does lane changes. So it should, if we sustain this lower speed, it should get us over, but because we're picking up speed, it probably won't do it. Whereas if we were on Mad Max mode, it would have had us do it pretty quick. We would have definitely have changed lanes right there. So I'm not that surprised that we didn't, considering how fast traffic it's sped up. And now that we're getting close to our actual next exit, we're within a mile or we're right at a mile, it's now giving me all the signs for it. It's drawing the lane I'm going to be into. We're getting the notifications, so we should see that start happening real quick as well. And again, the car is doing all the driving. Anytime you see one line in front of the car, that means we're on Navigate and Autopilot. That means I've spent the money for the full self-driving package. Anyway, it's all there. So I had some guy comment on a video the other day. I don't reply to it because I thought it was a dumb comment, but it said that because it's not transferable, why would you spend the money for the $8,000 for the full self-drive? I'm curious how many of you guys agree with that. That just seems like a really interesting statement to make, considering that wasn't even one consideration I had when buying it. I bought full self-drive because I wanted full self-drive, not because I wanted to transfer it to someone else. That had no impact at all in me buying it. So here we go. We take this turn here. Yeah, I wanted that car to do all the cool stuff that I bought it for. Like, to me, it's worth every single penny. I have no regrets paying for full self-drive. Okay, so we're almost there now. So I'm back now in control of the car, and we're gonna go find a spot where we can stop right at our correct location and see how accurate it was. And you guys, look at this. We're stopped here. Remember I said it was 253 miles. We had 20 miles to go. How many miles will be left on our range when we get there? And I need to be 233. Well, look at this. It's exactly 233 miles. That is impressive. We went 20.3 miles. We had lost exactly 20 miles from where we started. So that matched up with the navigation, which matched up with the actual miles that we drove. So it was all accurate, completely to the exact mile accurate, which which is, in all the tests I've done before this update, that's never happened. It's never been calling it exactly and had the miles be the same. Now, in terms of how far it goes to the bottom of the battery, do I actually have 233 miles left on the battery? I mean, this was just one test of many, but it does give us a hint that it is more accurate than it was. And I think that's where we need to leave it for now, is that it is going the right direction. I'm going to leave it on it for now, because from this trip that I just experienced, it said I had 235 or 53. It said that I had 20 miles to go, and I had 20 miles left on my battery than it said I was going to have. So to me, that was completely 100% accurate. That's pretty awesome, guys. I love that the stuff in the car works. You still might not like that in terms of a preference thing. That's totally cool. But in terms of, is it becoming more accurate? Is it accurate right now with that test I just did? The answer is definitely yes. Hope you guys enjoyed this drive. See you on the next one.